have a master's. I'm academically published. I've been invited to speak at a bunch of academic conferences, including the American Library Association's Youth Young Adult Conference, which is kind of a big deal. I have a law degree, which I graduated with cum laude. I passed the bar in Kansas and Missouri. I swam a mile in the Potomac River last year while completing my first triathlon. And I'm a first-degree black belt in Taekwondo. What I'm about to tell you now is every bit as true as everything I've just said. I'm seriously clinically depressed. People don't like that one as much. It's uncomfortable. We don't like to talk about being ill, especially not mental illness. Physical illness we can kind of deal with because we can tell ourselves it's not us, although we're also uncomfortable because we know it could be us. Mental illness is hard. It's really easy to tell ourselves that it's the person who's suffering from it that is the problem rather than the disease. There's a couple of really big misconceptions about depression, particularly people who are high-functioning depressives. One of these is that if you can get out of bed, you're not depressed. It's a big one. Another is that if you can get out of bed, you might be depressed, but what you mean when you say depressed is sad. You're sad. What I mean when I say depressed, depression is different for everyone. I would never presume that the way mine works is the same for anyone else. What I mean when I say I'm depressed is that I have the inability to hope that things will get better. So it doesn't mean that I've had a bad day and I feel like things aren't going to get better. It means that I go for months and months thinking that things are going to stay the same way they are and that I cannot make them better. And it means that I go to bed every night for those months, for those years sometimes, really hoping that I'm not going to wake up in the morning. We have this idea that if people who are mentally ill just work hard enough, they can overcome it. I went on medication in 2007, which was 7 years after I should have done it, largely because I listened to the world tell me that if I could just think of things differently, if I could just approach things differently, that I would be better. So I chose not to go on meds for a really long time. When I finally did, I learned that actually I can feel wholly different things when I'm on meds, especially when things in my life are going decently well. I can feel what it's like to be sad, which I had not known before I went on meds. I can feel what it's like to be happy, which I had been not all that acquainted with before. I'm also in therapy, and now I'm doing this cool thing called neurofeedback, which is trying to program my brain to think differently by way of playing games with little things attached to my head. It's pretty crazy. But my point is that I work really hard to overcome this. And right now, when things are honestly not going so great in my life, the medication helps just to keep me going and to keep me not actively suicidal, honestly. And it makes it so that I can get myself to therapy. I can get myself into work. And I wanted to talk about this because I rewrote this speech a million times. And the first time it was all about things I like to do. And the second time it was all about what's going on in my life. And they were all true in a way, but for me, truth is really about perspective. It's about how we see our own world. And I wanted to talk about how I see my world, how I put the pieces together, and how I oftentimes see people respond to me. Because right now, that's the biggest truth for me. And so this is what I chose to do.